Hey guys, I'm Becky from Bookmarks Reviews and welcome to another reading vlog. I feel like the glare is ridiculous, but this has the best lighting, so we're just gonna take off my glasses. I know I look strange without my glasses now, but it's fine. It's fine. So, my last reading vlog, which I just ended, didn't go that successfully. I am feeling a bit slumpy ever since I finished A Court of Wings and Ruin and A Court of Frost and Starlight. I just want it to be February so I can buy the next book and read it, but it isn't. So, that's not great. And I'm trying to fight it by basically getting rid of as many books as I can that I don't have to read, but that I feel pressure to read. So, I got rid of Blood and Honey and I got rid of Kingsbane off of this month's TBR. I also got rid of Let It Snow by John Green. I'm just not in the mood for them and I don't want to force myself to read them, so we're going to just try to read the other things that are on my TBR. So let's talk about this week. I think it can happen. I will say that tomorrow is my last day of work before I'm off until January 2nd. So I think these next 2 weeks are going to be fine. So the first book I want to read is Snowden by Rachel Hawthorne. This is a very small paperback romance YA about a girl who gets snowed in at her mom's new, I think it's like a B&B or hotel that her mom now owns, with a cute boy, and I have just been waiting and waiting and waiting because I wanted to read it right before Christmas. So my plan is hopefully tomorrow after work I can start this, but if anything, I would like to start and finish this on Wednesday. That has been like my overall plan. So I think that that can totally happen. And I'm super in the mood for this. And then last but not least is another bigger book, but I am really excited to read it. And it's part of my 20 and 20, but I also just feel like immense guilt and embarrassment and shame that I haven't read it yet. And that is A Curse So Dark and Lonely by Bridget Kemmerer. So I would also like to read this week. Now, all of these will be physical reads. So that's the only part that I'm a little like, I don't know about it, because I have gotten back into Animal Crossing and that's really it. I've gotten back into Animal Crossing. So I think it can happen. I think it can totally happen. I just realized I don't think I ever told you guys what today is. So today is Monday, December 21st. I did already mention that tomorrow is my last day of work for the holidays. So I'm really, really excited about that. You guys have no idea. This week is going to be pretty crazy though because it is Christmas. So I need to finish buying gifts. I need to wrap the gifts. I need to celebrate the holidays. So we'll see how it goes, but I'm still hopeful. So really quickly, before I head downstairs and eat some delicious dinner with my husband, I do have an unboxing for you guys. So on Black Friday, I bought some things from the Bookish box, and I'm so excited to open them. All right, so first up, I bought another pair of their joggers. You guys, I bought my first ever pair, I want to say like quite a few months ago, and they are Forks Washington ones. These are the most comfortable and softest things I've ever put on my body, so I had to buy another pair. This one has this cute little open book and says my night is booked. If you guys have been thinking about getting their joggers, definitely do. They are cuffed at the ankles. I don't know if you guys can see that. They are cuffed at the ankles, and then they do have nice deep pockets. Like, I don't, like, can you see how deep these are? Like, that's a lot. They go from here down. Like, that's a deep pocket. That's like a man's pocket. So they're fantastic. They are also like really, really high quality and have a drawstring, and I just love them. And then the other thing, they had this really cute tumbler that was color changing, but then I realized you could only buy them in a 4-pack, but it was only like, I want to say $14.99. Like, it was crazy cheap for 4 cups, especially 4 tumblers. So, depending on what these look like, I will either be keeping them, keeping some of them, or only keeping one of them and giving the rest away as gifts for my friends. I'm so confused, guys. Okay, so on the box, it shows you what colors they turn when hot or cold, but then the cups themselves are all the same color. So do I just have the sky that turns cobalt or the Arctic that turns raspberry? Because I was expecting like one of each, but if it's a fact that they're all exactly the same, which like maybe I'll figure out how to, oh, I'll run them underwater. I'll test them out. If they're all exactly the same, then I'm giving them away and only keeping one to my friends as Christmas gifts. So they have this super cute lid that kind of looks like a fast food lid. Do I have more lids than I do cups? I'm losing it. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lids. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cups. And 6 straws. What is happening, you guys? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm crazy confused, but you know what? I'm not even going to contact them. This honestly works out great because then that means I get one and my 4 friends can also have one instead of me like picking and choosing who's going to get it. That's fine. So what the cup looks like is it says what happens at book club stays at book club, and 3 of my 4 friends are in my works book club. So I thought it was perfect. And then it has like lines for checking off when it has like decaf, shots, syrup, milk. Like, I don't think you're supposed to write on it, but I think it's supposed to look like a Starbucks cup. They're super cute, like crazy cute. I'm gonna test out to see if they're all the same. I think that they are though. I don't understand why I have 5 cups, 6 lids, and 6 straws, but we're just gonna roll with it. I don't want to contact anybody. It's the holidays. We're just gonna, it's fine, especially because if they give me another one, I don't know who I would give it to. I don't have that many friends. But alright guys, I think that that's everything that I wanted to share today. So I probably won't check in with you guys until tomorrow when I get home from work and officially have a day off. Really excited. Hey friends, it is Wednesday, my first day off. Very, very excited. Last night I didn't update you guys because number one, of course my last day of work before going on vacation for 2 weeks, I can't just have like a smooth work day. So I was pretty like pissed off and stressed out from work once I finally got off. And then my little brother came over to have some pizza. By the time that he left and everything, I was just really, really tired. I haven't done any reading so far this week, so there really wasn't anything to update you guys on. But now it is currently 11:43. I got up at 9 a.m. Why? I don't know, but I like woke up out of a dead sleep and was wide awake. So there may be a nap in my future. I did grab an Oreo ice cap for myself. Very excited about it. But now, here's what we're going to be doing today. I'm going to be playing some Animal Crossing, and then once I get done with this, I'm going to be picking up Snowden and hopefully reading this in one sitting. For my bookmark, if I need a bookmark, I have this cute little bookmark that I got from my work. A lot of people donate Christmas cards to us for some reason, so we cut them up and make them into holiday bookmarks that anybody can take if they want, which they actually go over like pretty popular. So I grabbed one when I saw this one just because it's beautiful, and yeah, that's what I'm using. I am pretty sad because when I grabbed this one, I also grabbed a Charlie Brown one, and I can't find that one anywhere. So I'm pretty sad about it. I feel like I left it in a book and returned it or something. But that's fine. So now I'm going to play Animal Crossing and relax, and I'll check in with you guys once I start reading. Okay, friends. I'm done playing Animal Crossing, played for quite a few hours, but now it's time to read. So I'm going to get cozy, and start reading. So I wanted to check in with you guys because I've now read over the 100-page mark of Snowden. It is definitely on the younger side of YA. It's definitely still teen, but feels like slightly older than a tween book, kind of. So usually I don't enjoy them, but with it being a like Christmas, wintertime romance, I'm cool with it. It is like pretty cheesy and definitely kind of like insta-lovey. There's a whole lot of talk of like worrying about being judged, which I feel like normally I would be very annoyed with. But most of it is our main character, her mom has always told her, like, don't settle down too young, date around, because her mom and her dad got together in high school and were together up until now. So she's always been a girl who's, like, dated around, never had, like, a boyfriend, always just had friends who were boys and, like, sampled them basically like chocolates is kind of like how she describes it. So now she's on this island where she has, like, a class of 6 and is, one, worried about the quality of the dating pool, but also is very worried about being judged for not having a boyfriend because every girl she's met so far has a boyfriend. So there's a lot of talk about being worried that she won't fit in. She is a junior, but I mean, everyone feels that. If you've ever switched schools, then you kind of know, like, that nervousness and vulnerability of being new and not having friends yet, and especially with this being such a small school, like, I would also be worried about fitting in, you know, finding friends. So she's very worried about it, especially because so far she's, like, very different from all these other people. So there's a lot of talk of insecurity, but I totally get it. We do meet our love interest, who we have just found out is, actually, I'm not even going to tell you, because if you pick this book up, it was, like, shocking to me. So I'm not going to tell you anything, just in case you pick it up, but something shocking happened with the boy, and I was, like, enjoying the book, and, like, it's alright, but now I'm, like, I want to read it. Like, I'm feeling sucked in. It is, like, very easy to read, very quick. I mean, it's a tiny little paperback, so I feel like 2 pages is probably equal to, like, 1 regular length book page. So I'm gonna finish this very soon. I'm hoping to finish it tonight, but right now it's only 4:30, so I'm gonna keep reading until my husband gets home and we go run our last errands, and then I'll update you guys again. So I just finished Snowden. This was such a freaking cute book. I was a little nervous just because of, like, how cheesy and a bit juvenile it felt, but honestly, once something happens, once we find something out about Josh, it just, like, flew from there. I think I read this in, like, 2 hours, which is pretty crazy to me. Like, I felt like it would take a lot longer than that, but it didn't. I loved this a lot. This was perfect to read on a cold, wintry night, and exactly what I was in the mood for. I loved this. I felt like it definitely had some, like, Pride and Prejudice vibes, because Ashley is really fighting her attraction to Josh because she has this, like, pact that she made with herself that she's never gonna have a boyfriend until she's much older. And I just really, really enjoyed, like, the tension and the longing, and it was great. Please pick up Snowden by Rachel Hawthorne. It was cute. Fun, good, wintry time. Also, you can see Pepe's little head. I know you can, like, see his ears right there, but how cute. Hey guys, so it is currently Christmas Eve night. Kind of wasn't planning on updating today just because I haven't done a whole lot of reading, but I kind of figure maybe tomorrow I won't be updating that much. I know Saturday I probably will not update, so I wanted to update today just to talk about what I have been reading. You may hear some crinkling in the background. Ebony is playing with a bag and she won't stop. So I did start A Curse So Dark and Lonely. My plan was to start Bone Music, but I kind of wanted to pick up something that I knew I was, or I kind of wanted to pick up something that I had a good feeling I was probably going to really like. And since I'm still in this like weird stage of being slightly slumpy, I decided to go ahead and pick up this. I'm not very far, but I'm on page 36. I started this tonight. And so far I'm really enjoying it. I'm planning on reading a whole bunch more. I do really wish that I had an audio for this, but I do not, and it really sucks. So far it seems like a pretty quick read, and I'm very intrigued by this. So it's a Beauty and the Beast retelling. I feel like I don't really need to talk about what this book's about because everyone has read it but me. But the simple version is it's a Beauty and the Beast retelling where our main character has cerebral palsy, and it takes place in like half modern day and half in this like fantasy world. So our character is Ebony, will you please stop? Main character lives in Washington, D.C., and her brother is like this knee breaker for a loan shark. And it's because their father like owed this guy money, and then when their father like took off on them, her brother had to like step in and figure out a way to like protect their family from these people. So she's like standing guard for her brother while he goes and visits somebody who owes money, and she sees this guy, what appears to be like trying to kidnap this girl. Like he drugs her and she falls unconscious, so she grabs a tire iron and tries to save the girl, but then she ends up being the one who is kidnapped and taken to this fantasy world. Now I didn't know this part, so that's why I'm talking about it, because I don't think anyone has talked about how this story begins. I thought it was like a girl who like saves the prince and then he ends up taking her to this fantasy realm, or like she has an accident and wakes up in this fantasy realm. I had no idea about this like darker side of it, where since, you know, like Beauty and the Beast, he's been cursed and he needs to find true love to break the curse, instead of it being like he meets women and tries to fall in love, his commander finds women in the real world and drugs them and brings them back to hopefully fall in love with him. And like usually he picks these like very easy targets who are just like over the moon of like finding this wealth and stuff like that, and then when they realize how much of a jerk and a literal beast the prince is, then they run away. So to now have this character who knows full well what's going on and wants nothing to do with it, has now been taken to this place, is very interesting, and I don't know why no one's talked about it, so wanted to bring it up. Very interested to see where it's gonna go, because this is like, usually people when they do the Beauty and the Beast retelling, they kind of like try to steer more around the Stockholm Syndrome that comes along with the story. This one feels like it's kind of leaning into it, so it's gonna be interesting, and everyone loves this book, so I'm very intrigued. So far though, it is really good. I love that our main character is like very strong-willed, and even though she has something that gives her setbacks, she doesn't try to let it limit her. And she's also so far, like only slightly, but I definitely think it's going to be brought up a lot more, has talked about how like her brother doesn't think she can do a lot of things because she has cerebral palsy when she can. Like it shouldn't limit her. So I'm really excited about that rep. Hey guys, it is Monday, December, I don't even know, 28th. I haven't updated you in quite a few days. So I've decided, instead of ending this vlog now like I normally would, I'm gonna go ahead and just keep vlogging for the next week. Number one reason why I haven't updated is, number one, I've just been busy and enjoying the holidays and relaxing and things like that. Because of that, I also have not been reading. Now, I did get to page 124 of this. I'm really enjoying it. This is a lot darker than I thought it was. I talked to you guys about how some things have been brought up that I've not seen anyone talk about. I feel like I'm somebody who, at least with Beauty and the Beast retellings, because I think that this is the only way that I've ever experienced like this Stockholm Syndrome, I think I'm cool with it. I always just kind of like accept what's happening, so I'm doing the same with this so far. And I think it's because in Beauty and the Beast retellings, it's always like I don't really have a choice about this, and they always kind of like end up giving them a choice of like, now you can either stay or leave. And I know that I know as I'm like saying this out loud that it's like, you realize how fucked up that is. Like, yes, I do. Yes, I do. However, this is fiction. Always in these books, the only thing that's happened is like taking them against their will, show them that they're a cool guy, and then be like, so you can leave now if you want to. And they're like, no, you're a cool guy. I'll help you out. So I think so far I'm cool with that. So now that the holidays are over, I know New Year's Eve is coming up. To me, that's not really a holiday. I don't do anything for it. When I was younger, I used to like dream of like, when I get older, I'm gonna go out to a New Year's party, I'm gonna go to New York, I'm gonna make it a big deal like how you see on TV. And now that I am older, I still do what I did as a kid, but now I enjoy it, which is staying at home, watching like Dick Clark's New Year's and MTV and just like flipping back and forth through all the channels that are doing some sort of like musical talent for the New Year's, and just like watching those, relaxing, counting down, and kissing my husband. So now that the holidays are done, I can really focus on getting things done, such as filming videos, editing, and reading. Especially reading. Since we're technically on a new week, let's talk about my plans. So number one, I definitely want to finish A Curse So Dark and Lonely. Number two, my higher priority than that one is to read 29 Dates by Melissa de la Cruz. I have it over there. I just don't feel like getting up. So that's for book club. Book club is this coming up Sunday. So that's my number one priority. So right now I need to sketch out some more of my bullet journal so that I can start filming that hopefully tomorrow. And then once I get done with that, I will start reading more of A Curse So Dark and Lonely. So I will update you guys once I do some reading. Hey guys, it's Tuesday. I have a lot of things to update you guys on. So for one, I did do some reading last night, which we'll talk about in a minute. But I also have like a small haul to show you guys. So for Christmas, what I got a lot for my family members was Amazon gift cards. So I have thus spent those Amazon gift cards on things that I had on my wish list. So the first thing I wanted to show you guys is my dad bought me some Samsung Galaxy Buds Live, I believe is what they're called. These are the rose gold ones. They're shaped very cool, like a little bean, so they fit great. On top of that, they don't have anything that goes in the ear, which I find to be very, very comfortable. So I really like them. But I decided I wanted to get a cute case, but I found Tommy Nook. How cute is he? At least I think it's Tommy. It's either Tommy or Timmy. I thought it was Tom, but apparently it is not. It is one of his nephews. I mean, we can pretend and just say it's Tom Nook, but he looks awfully young to be Tom. Okay, yeah, they are Tommy. How cute. I just love it. I think it's so adorable. So now, let's talk about reading. So I did read A Curse So Dark and Lonely, and I freaking finished it. Yeah, I stayed up till I think like 3 or 3:30 in the morning reading this. I will say that this book reads so quickly. I normally read about 50 pages an hour for like an average typical YA book. If it's a little bit more denser, like Wicked Saints or Furyborn, it's usually like maybe 25 pages an hour. For this book though, I was reading like 100+ pages an hour, but I loved it. I love this, you guys. This was so good. I could not stop reading it. I was just so heavily invested and I really, really enjoyed it. I'm gonna give it 5 out of 5 stars. I'm definitely gonna continue on with the series. I am a little nervous just because I didn't really love the way that, well, I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it. So we'll talk about it, but I didn't love how it ends. So I'm a little nervous, and then reading the description of book 2, I'm also nervous, and then reading the reviews for book 2, a lot of people are like, wow, majorly disappointed with this one. So I'm very nervous continuing on, but also excited to do so. I feel like the main point of this book is to talk about how sometimes things happen that don't necessarily make people bad people. It's just them dealing with the hand that they're dealt. So she kind of ends up reflecting on her own family and becoming more understanding of things that happen within her family, which I'm somebody who likes to hold a grudge. So, so I was kind of like, but should you forgive your father? I don't know. And she talks about how with these characters, like, yeah, technically she was being kidnapped and held against her will, but at the same time, like, they're trying to save their people and break this curse, and this was the only way to do so. I mean, was it? It was the fastest way to do so. I don't know if kidnapping is the right answer. I don't want to say anything for the ending because I don't want to give anything away, but just know, like, the character is very aware of Stockholm Syndrome, and I felt like this book didn't really do it. I felt like it was genuine, and I felt like everything made sense. But overall, 5 out of 5 stars. Big fan. I'm so happy I finally read it, and I'm so happy that I really, really enjoyed it, so that's good. I will also have like another small haul for you guys in a little bit because I decided to try out HelloFresh. So my first box should be here any minute, and I'll show you guys what that looks like because I'm also curious of what that looks like. Alright, so my HelloFresh box has arrived. Let me show you what is in here. So first, I think we have my recipe. So I got the homestyle chicken and biscuit pot pie, which sounds and looks amazing. The next one is, this one was a gourmet one, so I did pay extra because the meat costs more, I guess. I don't know. But I think it's Beauvais steak and roasted garlic pan sauce with mashed potatoes and asparagus. Like, oh my god. Then I got meatloaf a la mom. Whoa, there's some glare. And then the last one that I got was beef and cheese tostadas. So very exciting. And then the food is in one of these like thermal bags so that it stays cold. I'm gonna open it up. Okay, so this is really, really cool. I was expecting it to just be like a whole bunch of like little baggies of each thing, but they actually packaged each item in its own bag that's labeled. So you can just grab this. This is everything that you need. I really love that. Oh my god, how cool. Alright, well I'm gonna put this in the fridge and then get back to doing things, and I'll check in with you guys once I start reading 29 Dates. Hey guys, so it is Wednesday. I'm all dressed up and cute because I'm about to film a video, but I wanted to update you guys really quickly. So yesterday I meant to come back and update you guys, but I started to feel like junk, so I just didn't and just read. So I did start 29 Dates by Melissa de la Cruz. Melissa de la Cruz is an author that I've always loved and considered one of my favorite authors because I loved her Blue Blood series. I never finished it, so my plan is to reread it at some point. I've always considered her a favorite, and even though she has written many books since Blue Bloods, I've never read any of them because they just didn't seem like my kind of book until this one. And I have to say that I am on page 107. I'm using my book club bookmark, and I'm not loving this. I feel like if this wasn't for book club, I may even DNF it, but I'm going to keep reading it for book club. And I'm a little worried now about rereading the Blue Blood series because I feel like maybe I'm going to feel the same way. Because I feel like if I read this when I was a teen, I would have loved it because it's very dramatic. But as someone who likes older, mature YA, this is not hitting it. There's a difference if the character's supposed to be young. So when the character's like 14, I still don't love it, but I don't criticize it for it because that's how they're supposed to be. In this one though, our character is supposed to be like 17 years old. She's a senior in high school. She shouldn't really be acting this way, in my opinion. I don't remember acting this way when I was 17, but who knows. She's just very, very overly dramatic, and she's also very naive, and I just don't vibe well with things like that. I will say that I kind of feel like it's a little bit of the audio narrator's fault of why I don't love it so much. I wish that I could physically read this, but I want to get more comfortable with the names before I do because it is a whole lot of Korean names and I feel like I wouldn't pronounce them correctly. So I want to get a little bit more comfortable with the character names and then switch to physically reading. With that being said though, I am now at the part where she is in San Francisco, which I need to tell you guys the premise of this book. I will soon. And I think that it's going to pick up a lot more because I feel like Jisoo's main problem is that she doesn't know who she is, what she wants. She's just kind of like doing what she's supposed to be doing, but not very well. So it's creating a whole lot of tension within her life and her family. But now let's talk about what this book is about. So this book is about a high school senior named Jisoo who lives in Seoul. She goes to a very competitive high school and she's not doing that great. She's not failing, but she's just like an average student, maybe even slightly below average. And her parents want her to do well so that she can get into a good college and then pursue whatever she wants to. On top of that, her parents have also paid for a matchmaker for her. So even though she's 17, it's like arranged marriage-ish. They want her to go on all these dates and find a boy that could be her future husband. So that's like less of a worry in the future or something. I love learning these different like cultural matchmaking things. I find it very, very interesting and a really cool premise for books. So love that. So one night, Jisoo blows off one of the dates and lies to her matchmaker about what she's doing, lies to her parents, comes home extremely late, and the next morning her parents are livid. And on top of that, they find out that she's still not doing very great in school and it's her last year. You know, senior year is important. So they surprise her with a ticket to San Francisco where she'll be going to still an equally as good and competitive school, but not as competitive as a Korean school is, so that she will hopefully be higher in the top of her class and still be able to get into a good college. But even though she's going to be in San Francisco, her arranged dates will still be happening. And I think that she's also, so far she's gone on one, not really a date, but kind of a date. Her and this boy go to the movies just as friends, but it's like a date-ish. So I think she's also going to be going on like her own dates as well. I really love the premise of this book. I love when we have like multiple date kind of things, like The Selection. Oh, what was that Christmas book I really loved? I can't remember the title of it. I can never... 10 Blind Dates, I think is what it's called. That book and this one. I really love the premise of kind of like a bachelor-bachelorette situation where you go on multiple dates, have multiple options. I love a love triangle, so I'm here for it. I love the premise, but I'm just not loving our main character. So with that being said, I am nervous about going back into Blue Bloods because I feel like since they are also privileged teens, that it's going to be written the same way. And when I was a teen, I loved it. Like I said, if I read this when I was a teen, I would have loved it. But now that I'm an adult, I feel like I'm not going to, but I hope I do because I really love the premise of it. And also it's kind of more of a paranormal fantasy, so these teens should be a little bit more mature because like the whole world saving is up to them. But we'll see. Hey guys, and Happy New Year. It is now 2021. It is January 1st, and yeah, let's talk about some bookish stuff. So first up, I didn't finish it by midnight, but I did finish 29 Dates by Melissa de la Cruz. I really don't know what to give this book. I think I'm gonna give it 3 stars. I feel really bad. Like, it's a Melissa de la Cruz and I want to give it a 4-star, but I think if I'm being totally honest, I didn't enjoy the listening experience, and I think even if I physically read it, it would only get like maybe a 3.5, 3.75 at the highest. I'm gonna give it a 3-star. So since I finished 29 Dates, technically this morning, today when I finished filming my bullet journal video, I needed to start a new audiobook. And for some reason, I always put a lot of pressure on the first book that I read in the new year. It's always gotta be something that like I know is going to be a 5-star that I'm going to love. I never like look back on what the first book was that I read, but for some reason, it has to be important. I don't know why. So, I decided to pick up a book that I have been meaning to read for so freaking long, and this will actually tick off like a bunch of boxes, and that is 5 Ways to Fall by K.A. Tucker. Now, I don't have a physical copy of this book. I have the audiobook from Hoopla, and then I do have the ebook that I got from NetGalley, so this will count as reading one that I've gotten from NetGalley a very long time ago, finishing a series because this is the last book in the 10 Tiny Breaths series, and I'm pretty sure that I put this on my 2021 TBR. I'm I'm very excited to be starting this. I'm currently, I think, like 25% of the way through it, and I'm really, really enjoying it. It's so good. Everything about K.A. Tucker is great, but I'm just really liking this. I thought it was going to go somewhere else, but it isn't, and I'm cool with it. I just know that this book is going to be filled with like a lot of hard-hitting, steamy romance, as well as heartbreak and heartache. So that's just like K.A. Tucker's style. She always does these characters who are very like real and have real problems and issues and are kind of like going down the wrong path in their life. So I really enjoy that. I like that we don't have like perfect characters in her books. So really happy to be starting that. Right now though, I'm going to be editing a vlog, and then I would also like to edit my bullet journal video, but we'll see because that's a lot and I want to read. I also need to go to bed at like a decent time tonight because tomorrow, Saturday, I do have to work in the building. It is one of 3 of my last days working in the building, and then I'm officially working from home for the foreseeable future. So on one hand, I really don't want my vacation to end. I don't want to work anymore. I just want to stay home and read. But I only have 3 days and then I'm working from home. So hey guys, it is Sunday and it is time to wrap up this vlog. So let's go ahead and get into it. The first book that I read during this reading vlog was Snowden by Rachel Hawthorne, if I'm not mistaken. I've already returned the book, but I'm pretty sure it's Rachel Hawthorne. This was such a cute book and it was exactly what I needed to read right before Christmas. It just felt so wintry and magical, and I just really, really loved it. I read it in one sitting with you guys, and I highly recommend you pick it up. Then I finally read A Curse So Dark and Lonely. This book is also getting 5 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed this, and I'm so happy I finally have read it. I am both equally excited and nervous about getting into the second book. I've heard a lot of reviews saying that they were very disappointed when they read it, so hopefully me going in knowing that it's like kind of a disappointment, the bar will be set low and it'll be fantastic. We'll see though. I did go ahead and put it on my 2021 TBR, so it is a plan to read it in the next year, perhaps. I will talk more about my 2021 TBR and my goals this year in my 2021 reading journal setup. I was going to do a separate video filming my goals, but a lot of them were the same as this year, so I felt like it would be like a bit boring. So I just did like a whole chatty bullet journal video where I talked about my goals and also about my 2021 TBR, because I'm also not doing a 21 in 21 or anything like that. So check that out. Then I read 29 Dates by Melissa de la Cruz. This was for book club. Book club was today. It seems like we all had like the same reaction to this book of it being like, all right. So I'm going to give this book 3 out of 5 stars. I just didn't love it. It felt very juvenile. It felt very kind of like overly dramatic. And then the things that it touched on, I felt like didn't touch on it enough. I feel like if it had a whole lot more culture about Korean people, especially people who are foreign exchange students and things like that, it would be super interesting. However, I do think that the book balanced it well enough. I think there was enough in it to kind of learn about someone different from you. But for me, I enjoy that. And I think that's the better route to go, is to be super heavy with it. I would have liked it if there was more. I don't fault it for not having more, but I would have enjoyed it more. Another thing that was kind of weird that it talks about but then doesn't, it was very heavy on this whole matchmaking process. It's in the title, 29 Dates. However, we never like meet Miss Moon, have an interaction with Miss Moon, who is her matchmaker. We don't really learn the process or like walked through it. The dates are just like a 1 to 2 page transcript between each chapter. Like, for it being the title, it really wasn't the focus of this book, and that is very weird to me. And then 3, the whole other point of this book besides these dates is that her parents are sending her to America to do better in school so that she can get into a good college. And it's like all that her parents care about is her getting into college, and then she can do whatever she wants with her life. But then we don't even find out where she ends up going to college. And then finally, I read 5 Ways to Fall by K.A. Tucker. This is the last book in the 10 Tiny Breaths series, and I absolutely loved it. I loved it so freaking much. This was so good. It wasn't what I thought it was going into it. So I originally thought that this book followed, I believe the main character in the first book in the series is Casey, and each book follows different people, a different couple, different circumstances, but they're all related to each other in some way. I thought that this book was going to follow Casey from the first book's little sister when she goes to college. That's what I've always thought. It does not. This is a totally random person who is like very far removed from Casey, but still within that world. Now I really like it because honestly, if you don't remember what happened in the other books, or if you don't want to read the other books, you totally don't have to, because each book really does kind of like, because each book is really in its own bubble, it will mention those characters, so you may get spoiled for couples that get together, and that's only even if you remember their names if you read a previous book later. But this book was so good, and I was really expecting the typical trope that we get in romance, which I'm cool with. I'm noticing, now that people are mentioning it, I'm like, yeah, that does happen a whole lot. That's really weird. I don't have a problem with it, but I notice it, and I like to bring it up when I can, because it turns out a lot of people don't like that trope. But it didn't have it where like the couple gets together and then something happens and it splits them up for a while and they have to like get back together. It didn't have that. So I just loved it. It has some very steamy scenes. I love K.A. Tucker so much. All of her books that I've read by her are freaking amazing, and I'm just really happy that I can check this book off as being done with a series. I've been reading 10 Tiny Breaths since it came out. I believe I got the first one to review as an arc, so the fact that now I am completed with the series is crazy, because it's been a long time. I think that this book actually came out like many years ago as well, so I'm just happy that it has happened. And yeah, so I don't know if I told you, but 5 out of 5 stars for that book. So that is everything that I read during these 2 weeks. It was honestly like the perfect amount of reading. I'm glad that I didn't try to like force myself to read more, and just kind of read when I wanted to read and didn't when I didn't want to. That's definitely something that I'm bringing into 2021, is reading books that I want to read, not putting pressure on myself, not setting up super strict TBRs and things like that. So I'm kind of happy that I've like learned these last couple months what I want my reading to be in this upcoming year, and I'm very excited for all of the reading that's going to happen this year. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this vlog. If you have made it to the end, go ahead and comment an emoji that represents what you have celebrated these last 2 weeks. So it could be a Christmas tree, a present, a menorah, a snowflake, a firework, anything that your heart desires. Don't forget, if you also enjoyed this video, to please give it a thumbs up. Keep reading, stay safe, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!